You're probably curious what's in a sniper's go bag. I'll be the first to tell you there is a time and a place for tactical. There's also a time and place for practical. This is a relatively lightweight go bag, coming in at less than 20 pounds. So I've got 2 water bottles on the outside of my pack, easily accessible in the top of my pack. This is a CPR mask. The odds of you having to perform CPR are way higher than if you had to apply a tourniquet. In my first aid kit, I do have a tourniquet. That has its place, but one of the common misconceptions is you're going to use this all the time. I learned as an EMT, this is a last resort. These are typically only put on by professionals and emergency responders. Now, I understand where the popularity came for these from the military, a high-level threat of dealing with gunshot wounds, explosions, IEDs, things like that, where they're losing limbs. This was a necessary tool for that. When it comes to emergency preparedness, it's about risk assessment. As a regular civilian dealing with everyday emergencies like fires, floods, hurricanes, things like that, earthquakes even, if you don't know how to perform CPR, you definitely should take that training. If you've got kids, elderly people, this is the one thing that's going to save their life. I carry some just basic first aid medicines and stuff in my bag. For me, I deal with acid reflux a lot, so that's really important in my comfort. Ibuprofen, I have some Sudafed, Neosporin ointment, eye drops, because if you get something in your eyes, say it's smoke or something like that, or dust and debris that's in the air from whatever has just occurred, having some eye drops to be able to flush out your eyes is critical, because if you can't see, you don't know where you're going. I do carry some chapstick. This is a very multi-purpose thing. We can get into that another time, but I do carry chapstick. I've got a little mirror here. One has a magnifying one. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm getting a little bit older. My close-up vision is a little harder, so if I'm trying to flush something out of my eye, I need that extra little magnification to be able to see that. This does help. It's also multi-purpose as a signaling device if you need to signal for help. It's a small little CPR face shield, but this is really a secondary backup. If you had nothing, this is better than nothing. I carry some large safety pins. These can work in a myriad of ways, but I carry it in my first aid kit if I needed to be able to make a sling or something like that. This is an extra large size bandana. This can act as a bandage, pressure dressing, as a sling. It's nice and big, a head covering. There's so many different things you can use a cotton bandana for. And then for me personally, I am highly allergic to poison oak. This stuff is a lifesaver. This is called Technu. Again, everybody's bag is going to be customized to your needs. Maybe you're allergic to bee stings. You should have EpiPens in here, or maybe you have other allergies and you should have Benadryl in here, along with medications and stuff. And then your first aid kit readily available, variety of size of Band-Aids. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into my bag to get out a Band-Aid for myself or a coworker. This was a lifesaver in the military. It's called moleskin. If you are having to, for whatever reason, leave your area on foot and you're having to go several miles or even further, or possibly you're using this bag to get home in the event that a disaster has occurred and you're 50 miles from home and you're having to walk and it's taking you a couple of days, moleskin will save your life, because you use this on your feet when you're getting blisters or those hot spots so you don't get blisters, and allow you to go farther, because if you lose your feet, you're not going to be able to get home, whatever it is you need to do. So I always carry some moleskin sewing kit, and I keep that in with my first aid kit. So the next thing I want to talk about is some things that are on the outside of my pack or easily accessible as well. I carry this just clipped onto a carabiner. This is a little fire starter. It's just a secondary way to start a fire. I also have some duct tape wrapped around it, repair, bandage, things like that that are easily accessible on the outside. Then I've got a small flashlight. Around the flashlight, I've got some spider wire fishing line. This is excellent for stitches if you've got to repair gear, as makeshift cordage if you've got to set up a shelter or something like that. In the side pocket, easily accessible. So if you've noticed, keep everything in Ziploc bags. 1, it protects your gear. 2, you learned in the military, you can make a bag like this into a flotation device. I'll show you how. By having everything compartmentalized in bags, traps air in there, which traps air inside your bag, and then it makes this big 20-pound bag actually float. You could pull it off your shoulders, grab onto it, and you could actually float with it or get to the shore, whatever you needed to do. This is a rechargeable headlamp. A headlamp allows you to work hands-free. Also keep some cordage. This can have a multitude of uses, everything from first aid to rescue, to keeping each other together, to keeping your gear together. If you were being separated, whether you're trying to go somewhere in the dark or in the water or anything like that, has some reflective on it. So that also helps with signaling, being able to find something, find your camp, find your gear. This is a critical tool. I happen to carry a Leatherman. This is part of my everyday carry. This is something you should have in your bag, ready to go. These are kind of my non-negotiables. A saw, a cutting blade, the pliers, and a can opener. Red battery powered light. It's got flashing lights for signaling if I need to signal for help. It's got just a regular red on. Another signaling device is a whistle. I always recommend that you have a whistle, because you could be trapped under rubble, you could be trapped in a tree, you need help to come to you. Little clip-on light, This one has the strobe light as well. To me, that's a really important signaling device. I know it's kind of redundancy, but if you are in the dark or you're in an area where you need to signal for help, light is one of the best ways to signal for help. Some calories. So I usually have 1 or 2 granola bars right in arm's reach, and then a couple of electrolyte packets. I've got one that has energy and another one that just has electrolytes, because again, if you're having to move, you need to be able to keep up your electrolytes, keep up your energy, and continue to move. Moving on to the main compartment now. Right in the top here, these are safety glasses. In particular for me, these are safety glasses that have a little reader prescription lens at the bottom of it, or I'm looking at a map or trying to get a splinter out of my hand. I need to have those cheaters so I can easily see what it is that I'm trying to do. Or even if you're trying to tie something together, I can't tell you how hard it is to thread a needle without having one of those. If you wear prescription glasses, you probably want to get goggles that would go over those prescription glasses. It's critical that you can protect your eyes, especially if you're dealing with high winds. If you're dealing with smoke or debris in the air, dust in the air, you definitely want to have a way to protect your eyes. And we talked about being able to sustain yourself if you're having to move. So what I have here, I've got a bag of basically granola bars, some trail mix, some nuts, dried fruit, some more of the electrolyte drinks. And I've also got, you can see that right there, those are vitamin B energy capsules, basically, to be able to take to help out with some energy. Again, if you're in an extreme situation, you're trying to get from point A to point B as fast as possible because you're trying to escape a disaster, or you're trying to get home to your family during a disaster, you're going to be able to keep that energy up. I am not a proponent of carrying meals that you have to prepare. I just want to have some quick, easy to use calories that are on the go, and I'm trying to move fast, because that's the whole purpose of this bag, is to get out of harm's way quickly and provide for some of those basic needs on the way. I do have a personal hygiene kit. I'll tell you what, by day 3, rescue shelter, in a hotel, in a gymnasium, or wherever you might be, having toothpaste and toothbrush is a huge, huge thing. I can't tell you how much this will help your morale. I also carry dental floss as additional cordage. I carry some dental floss picks just because those are simple to use. This is huge. Carry some wipes. That's one of the big things, is being able to keep yourself clean. Face cloths or washcloths. And then this is a larger cleaning towel. Again, 3 days in a shelter and you need to take a bath or a shower, you can't do that, or you just came out of a disaster and you're just covered head to toe in ashes or whatever. You want to be able to clean yourself off. A small little cleaning wipe, or my glasses for my safety glasses. Again, if you've got prescription glasses, you may need to have something like that as well. So this is just a poncho. This helps with cover. I mentioned in another video, I'll link that here, that having the ability to protect yourself from the elements is huge. Whether it's dealing with the rain, the cold, a small little inexpensive shortwave radio. I can get the weather on here. I can listen to radio stations, both AM and FM, and I can hear shortwave bands, so I can hear further if I'm trying to get information from different places outside of my area. One of the most difficult things to overcome is lack of information, confusion, not knowing what's going on. If you're one of those people that's waiting for help to come get you, it's pretty good to know, like, hey, this is what's going on. Flood's coming again. I need to get to safety. You can use these waterproof bags if you've got those, but Ziploc bags, the heavy duty freezer ones, work just as fine. Fire starting kit that I have here, candles. I have a Bic lighter with duct tape wrapped around it. Duct tape is just an extender for a fire. If you're trying to make a fire and light a fire quickly and easily, that helps you to be able to make your lighter last longer, so you're not sitting there basically holding this under something trying to light something. You can light the duct tape and it will burn for a long time. Some more duct tape around just an old credit card. You can use the duct tape for repair, for fire, obviously. You can even shave off bits of this and that will burn as well a lot longer because it's a petroleum-based product. I have a Fresnel lens, and what this does is you can actually start a fire with it using the power of the sun. So this is a third redundant way of starting a fire. This would be a last resort because it does take longer. If I'm trying to look at a wound or pull out a piece of glass, or if I'm trying to read a map, this is hugely helpful for that. And then it does have a little ruler, millimeters and inches on here. These are little crimps for your shoes that if you were in a slippery or icy condition, you could put these on, and they've got little spikes that will help you get traction. What I like is the fact that they've got reflective around the sides, these bands that are adjustable. If I needed to have someone looking for me, or I was trying to stay in contact with my group, I could literally slip these around the water bottles on the outside of my pack, and this would allow people to see me really easily. Or if it's in a dark environment, smoky, and I'm trying to evacuate to safety and I don't want to get hit by a vehicle, that's going to help people to be able to see me in the event of darkness. It's lightweight. Again, it's a great little tool that's kind of an all-season tool just because of the reflective and the ability to help you out in slippery conditions. Little survival tin kit that I made years ago. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. I've got Benadryl in here. I've got a small little pocket knife, fishing line, sewing needles, fishing hooks. There's a whole lot of stuff, other fire starting. There's a small lighter in here. And then I've got another can opener on the outside of there. This is something that's small, it's compact, it covers a lot of things. And I just always keep that with me. And then believe it or not, having a way to keep yourself or your kids entertained, keep your mind off of what's going on. If you're sitting in a shelter for 3, 4, 5, 10 days or something like that, you need a way to keep yourself occupied, keep your mind occupied, keep your mind off of all the things that are going on and keep you from going stir crazy. Having something along those lines, and age dependent, your kids have a small little drawing pad or a coloring book or something like that in their bag. Having a deck of cards can go a long ways for morale. Trust me, from the military, that was something that we never left home without. What I have in here is simply an extra pair of clothes. That is a pair of pants. Now these are convertible pants, so they zip off so that I could use them as shorts or pants. I've got a belt. I've got a long sleeve shirt in there. I've got an extra pair of socks and an extra pair of underwear, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone talk about after disaster, they're like, all I've got are the clothes on my back. So having an extra pair of clothes, or maybe all you did was get out of the house in your pajamas. This is a critical piece of your supplies that a lot of people don't talk about. Everybody relies on cell phones these days for navigation, but I can tell you that in a disaster like a hurricane, a major fire, things like that, one of the first things to go is communication. Cell systems get overwhelmed because everybody's trying to call for help. Fire and EMS is trying to use that. The cell towers get wiped out, all kinds of things. So having maps, free maps of your area, kind of a larger map, and then maybe some detailed maps, but basically to be able to navigate if you had to get from point A to point B and following street signs or roads and things like that without having the use of your phone and GPS. A notepad, preferably one that has phone numbers in it, addresses, places like that, points of contact, and then a way to keep notes. I keep a pencil in there. That way I can write, but I can also use this for fire tender if I needed to. And then a Sharpie marker with your kids if you're trying to evacuate in a situation where you might get separated, writing down their name, your phone number, your name, some basic information like that, maybe their blood type. Worst case scenario, if they need to have help and they can't speak or they can't give directions, they can't tell who they are, who you are, being able to communicate that with a Sharpie. It's really easy to leave messages on things with a Sharpie. And then here, this is important documents. So a copy of your driver's license, maybe you have an ID card or a passport card, copy of your social security card, birth certificates, having insurance documents for your vehicles, for your home, your homeowner's insurance policy, things like that. Just having all of those things in your bag are critical, not so much to help you get to safety, but once you do get to safety, how do you begin again? How do you start over? How do you recover from the disaster? Having those pieces of paper, if you've got an old expired passport, you could keep that in there. Again, it will serve as identification, even though it's expired. It'll help if you've got to get into an area that's been devastated and was evacuated. A lot of times they have those areas closed off, and you have to be able to provide identification to be able to get back into those areas. That is critical. And then the last thing I would say is family photos. Having pictures of your kids, having pictures of your family members. If you do get separated and you're trying to say, hey, this is my son, this is my daughter, this is my mom, we're trying to find them, we can't find them. A lot of times a picture is worth 1,000 words. You always want to protect your eyes. You want to protect your hands, okay? So I carry a pair of leather gloves. Those work in any situation, basically, to be able to protect your hands if you've got to move debris, trees, rubble, things like that. You definitely want to protect your hands. This is a solar charger power bank to be able to charge the radio, the headlamp, my cell phone, things like that. Having that ability is huge. This has a hand crank on it as well. This has a compass on the top here. It serves as a navigational tool as well as a signaling device with lights. So it can work as a flashlight. Click of a button, it goes to an SOS mode, and then it goes to a strobe mode for signaling. Also has all of the cords on it. This is a critical piece of gear to help keep some of my other gear going. Tube tent like that. I like to carry this as opposed to a Mylar blanket because I could easily put something around the bottom of it, tie it up, make it into a sleeping bag. I could use it as a tent for shelter. It's an inflatable sleep pad. This could be used if you're going to a shelter, having to sleep on a cot, if you're having to sleep on the ground, being able to get sleep amidst the stress, the chaos, the disaster. You're already going to be wore out, frazzled. So being able to sleep is huge. This can also be used as a flotation device. Just the simple fact that it's in my bag helps assist with the buoyancy of my bag to make it float. But this has a multitude of uses, but the main thing is comfort in a shelter on a cot. This is going to help you tremendously. Having the ability to drink water that maybe is contaminated, has impurities or bacteria, maybe they've put a boil alert out based on the emergency that's going on. Specifically, I have water bottles that are large enough that this can actually fit inside, so I can carry water with me me, and this will fit down inside. So if this is contaminated water, I can still use my filter to go ahead and drink from my water bottles. I don't need to be bending down in a puddle or a stream or a pond or something, sucking water out of this. I can just scoop the water into here, take it with me and go, and then have it filtered. I also have some signaling devices in here, chem lights. This isn't about going into the woods and surviving on your own. This is about surviving a disaster. And a lot of times as a victim, you're waiting for help to come to you. You're hoping they can find you. Whether it's a day, 2 days, 3 days down the road, you're trying to help them find you. This is a nice little battery powered LED stick. I could very easily slip this into my strap on my pack and allowing people to see me, increasing my visibility, allowing my group to see me as we're trying to move and navigate together. I could put something on the back of my pack with another chem light back here, and also carry some additional garbage bags. These are clear garbage bags, pretty good size, have a multitude of uses. This is a lightweight down puffer coat with a hood. You would be surprised how much the temperature changed from day to night. If you're in the elements, you're not inside a home, being able to stay warm and protected from the elements and from exposure is huge. And having that in a Ziploc baggie helps with the buoyancy again of the bag. This can be used as that flotation device like I was talking about. And then the last thing I have that was pretty accessible, but I saved it for last, is having a really robust cutting knife. You'd be surprised how much a piece of gear like that comes into play. This is a Moore knife Garberg. It's a really heavy duty knife. It can be used with a fire striker because it's a carbon steel knife. This is my knife of choice, but it's also good as a personal self-defense. There's a lot of different options, from stun devices to firearms to pepper spray to bear spray to as simple as just having a fixed blade knife. But you definitely want to have a way of protecting and defending yourself and your family. One other thing that I do have in my pack, this is a water bladder. It could be a Camelback, it could be anything like that. It's got the tube that I can go ahead and pull out. I keep mine empty for weight's sake in my bag. Again, if I needed to fill it up, I could do that. One of the advantages to having that bladder in my bag empty is I could pull that straw out and blow air into it, which again increases the buoyancy of your bag. And all of those things working together between the individually packed bags, the air bladder, the flotation devices, things like that, this bag is going to be really buoyant, and that's going to allow me to have a flotation device in the event that I'm trapped in a water disaster like a flood, a tsunami, a hurricane where the waters have come up, or if I needed to cross a stream and I needed to have a flotation device to get from one side to the other because the bridges are out. Having something to hold on to, and the fact that it's your gear, it's not going to sink to the bottom, that's huge. That's your bonus tip there, is make your Evac-Pack, make it into a personal flotation device. It protects your gear, it can protect you, it can actually save your life. If you like this content and you find it valuable, please like and subscribe. I've also got a free ebook. If you are new to this, you don't know what to pack in your Evac-Pack, I created a free ebook. It's got a downloadable checklist that can help you customize a bag for you, for each member of your family. Don't be scared, be prepared, have a plan, stay safe.